Everybody, welcome to our weekly Team Infinite call. I am Coach Lou, and I am super happy to have all of you here. I'm very excited to introduce a personal friend of mine, the incredible, amazing Jace Lungdren. And I'm sure I said your last name a little wrong, but Jace, you are one of the most incredibly influential coaches and incredibly nicest people I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. You have been consistent with your path as a Team Beachbody coach. You have had a take no prisoners attitude about things from the get-go. You pretty much coined the phrase biting at the bit and strike while the hammer and the anvil are hot. And I would love to hear you tell our team some of the things about your personal journey as a coach. And I'm going to turn the microphone over to you. So thank you again.
All right. I don't know if I quite deserve that kind of intro, but it is very interesting that 4 years later, we're still doing this. And me being on camera is much different than it was when I was 4 years ago. And Lou can attest to this because I was extremely, extremely shy. But the more you do it, the better you get and the more comfortable you get. So I just wanted to share a couple things about my story, and then I wanted to maybe throw out some tips or give some time for Q&A. But I think one of the things that Lou said about me was true, which is kind of a take no prisoner sort of attitude. And I think that that really stems from my passion to really help people. And I think if you can keep that on the forefront and really make that your goal above everything else and make that first, and make recruiting your passion and that being what sort of fuels you forward, it's going to change your entire business. So I was trying to decide what part of my story to tell because there's a lot of different chapters, but I wanted to share some of the successes I had. Most of my story is about failure. Which I think is good because that's what we all relate to, because that's what we feel on a daily basis, I think, for the most part. And I'm discovering, 4 years into this, that so much of what we need is just support. It's just the affirmation that, yes, you're doing the right things, keep going. Because I think really the second guessing and the feeling, the self-doubt is really what throws us off track. But if you have somebody there telling you, no, you're doing the right things, keep going, don't give up. It's okay for you to kind of take a break and balance and, just really, just being real, I think, with you. I think, Lou, when we first started, we had a really special thing in Team Motivate, and I still to this day haven't seen the same kind of duplication, but we really created sort of this sense of family. It was very tight-knit. It was just us 5 coaches. And the one thing that we all had in common was a really positive drive for each other to succeed. It wasn't so much about us. It was about each other. And so when Keith would post that he recruited somebody new, or Lou would, I would be like, oh my gosh, I have to go find somebody, and I'd be like, well, I just recruited 2 people. And Lou would be like, well, I just recruited 10. Cause he was like this big guy on the P90X fan page that everybody loved, but there was never a negative connotation in anything that we did. There was a very strong, moral, integral kind of core camaraderie that we had with each other. And I think that really drove me through my first round of P90X, and it really set the tone for me as a coach. So I try and imitate that and recreate that in my own group page with my new coaches that come in. And that's a really unique thing, to find people that are around you that build you up like that don't tear you down, that don't give you those negative, icky kind of feelings. And so for me, when I first started coming into coaching, I was 3 weeks into P90X. I was a horrible mess of a person, which probably none of them knew because I didn't openly talk about that a lot on social media, but I was on food stamps. We lived in this tiny little 2-bedroom apartment in the worst county in Arizona. And, I was probably the most depressed, the most physically ailed at the time. I was probably the most inhibited emotionally, spiritually, physically that I have ever really been. And I remember when Chris asked me to coach, I thought to myself, if this dude even knew like what my resume was like right now, he would not be asking me this, because I sat down and I wrote out like all of these things that I thought about myself. Like, I'm shy, I'm super introverted, I'm really out of shape, like I have no dollars whatsoever, like none. I didn't have any self-confidence. I had never completed anything really in my life at that point. I was a classic starter, and then I would start something else because I would get bored. I just was very inhibited to the point where, you know, if I had a fly in my water at a restaurant, I would just drink it instead of sending it back. Like, I would just pick the fly out and like drink it instead of bothering the person, you know. And one thing that my husband said to me, which stuck with me for a really long time, which was, you know, if somebody asked you to take the fly out of their drink, would you be offended? Would you feel like they were judging you? And I was like, no, I would be appalled that there was a fly in their drink. And he's like, that's exactly right. They're just people, just like you. You know, there's nothing to be afraid of. And that really, really stuck with me. And so when I started recruiting and trying to find people for my team, I didn't take the most conventional route. I looked for people that were where I wanted to be instead of people that I felt like I could help, which was kind of scary and intimidating. And I looked for people that were further along in their fitness and further along in their programs, or had different experience outside of Beachbody that I thought would make my team more diverse. I was really concerned with people thinking I only wanted to help people if they did Beachbody stuff. That was like a big deal at the time. So I let anybody and everybody that was interested in fitness, that liked doing anything, right, just to get in shape, I let them in. And what happened was I ended up building this really dynamic team of people that were just starting out, and people that were kind of intermediate, and people that were a lot better than I was. And having that pipeline sort of people in different areas really fueled me forward to Diamond. I hit Diamond in 45 days. I think once I hit it, I was making, you know, $350 a week at that point. Within a year, I was making $1,000 a week. And it was really just because I needed to change myself. And I remember I have had one call with my coach since I started, as Luke can probably attest to. But I had one call with him, and it was really all I needed, you know, and I've thought about that a lot. And I want you guys to think about that when you bring on these new coaches and new customers. You want to run with those kind of people that you can say, here are the tools, here's what we do, now go do it. And it's the people that do it that you want on your team, okay? There's this theory that I kind of teach, and I'm kind of getting off track, but this is a really good thing. A lot of coaches, there's this theory that I have that there's 5% of people that you mentor. Those are the people that take the tools, run with it, and just freaking do it. That you don't have to babysit, that you don't have to teach over and over the same things, right? They're just the people that go and do it. They Google stuff, they take initiative, they just do it. They hit Success Club, they add coaches, they recruit willingly, okay? Willingly. They don't have to love it, they don't have to like it, but they do it. And that's what's important. So there's 5% of your coaches that are going to be that way. And then there's 10% of coaches that you spend your time developing and teaching the ropes and teaching the basics. That's your new coaches, the people you're trying to hit, you know, with success starters. So you spend all of your time in that 10% in development and 5% in your mentorship. But what happens is we spend the most time with the 85% of coaches and customers that are stuck in limbo, okay? That aren't moving forward, that aren't hitting Success Club, that aren't helping even 3 people a month, right? And we spend so much time creating content for those 85% instead of putting all of our heart and soul into those 5% that are actually going to build your dream, right? So I learned really early on, Chris told me if, and I said to him, I'm brand new. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't even know any of the programs. I bought P90X 3 weeks ago on an infomercial during a bout of insomnia and depression, right? Like, legitimately, that is how I started. And he was like, it doesn't matter. Nobody knows the difference. Nobody knows what rank even means. Just go out there like you're a 15-star diamond coach and just freaking do it. And he showed me what was possible, okay? And I put my faith in how the path to get there, which at the time he told me was inviting 3 people a day, right? No matter what, just get 3 people to join your group page a day. And so and Lou can attest to this, all we did, guys, our first year was recruit. We didn't think about Success Club. We didn't even have challenge packs, okay? Right. We 100% focused on building relationships, making connections, and inviting people to the coaching opportunity. And that's it. Everything else fell into place. Rank, money, recognition, free trips, all of the sparkly, glittery stuff, okay, that so many coaches chase. They're missing the mark of what we're actually trying to do here, which is help people. Okay, and I know that that's very generic sounding, but let me give you just a little more in-depth version of that, which is my goal, okay, from day one, and especially when they came out with challenge packs. This is something I really had to wrap my brain around because I was like, I can't sell challenge packs. I hate selling, right? I didn't want to be a salesperson. So what I did, maybe this is wrong, was I'm going to get coaches underneath me and make them really good at selling so I don't have to do it. Right? That was my thought process. So I'm like, I have to get to diamond as fast as I can because I understood that it wasn't about rank and it wasn't about the sparkly, glittery things that everybody was chasing. It was about putting myself in the place of most potential. Okay? If you're a diamond coach or a 15-star diamond coach, you earn the same amount of money per cycle, $18, right? And I'm like, okay, so I can earn potentially the same amount in cycles as a 15-star diamond coach, but I only have to get to diamond. Seems pretty simple to me, right? So I literally, you guys, when I started, I was so affected by everyone else that I adopted this ideology of I'm so sick of thinking about me. Everything I talked about, everything I thought about was poor me. I can't do this. I failed at this. I feel so awful. I have poor self-esteem. I was so sick of myself, okay? So what I did was I decided to forget about me and focus all of that energy on other people instead and help them overcome their demons. And what happened was mine disappeared. I never had to think about them again. Okay, that's what happens when you give your life to someone else and you serve other people. So when I started recruiting and I started pushing for diamond, that's what I did. I just looked for people that made me better. I handpicked every single customer that came onto my team. And if I didn't like their vibe or I didn't like their attitude, deuces. Okay, I don't want that in my life anymore. I was trying to become the person that I wanted to be. So I just pretended to be that person every day until I became that person, okay? So within, coming out of coaching out of my first year, Mike and I graduated MBA school and we were $100,000 in debt, more than that, okay? And I was like, okay, I want to get out of this and I want coaching to help us do that. So about a year after grad school, we sort of paid off our student loans here and there and tried to assess our new financial situation with him getting a job and all of that stuff. And we kind of paid on it and paid a little more than we should have. And 1 year after paying on those loans, I looked at our statement and we literally owed the exact same amount. I was like, how are people paying a mortgage payment of student loans every single month for 30 years? This is debilitating. I don't want to live my life like this, right? And so this new fire in me kind of rekindled and I was like, I'm going to get rid of this. If nothing else, Beachbody is going to free us from this. And so within 7 months, guys, from January to July, I paid that off completely. 6 figures of debt, okay, with Beachbody. So anybody that comes to me and says, this isn't something that's working for me, do you know what I say to them? Or they'll say, I'm not a good coach. Nobody's wanting to join my challenge. I say, you know what? It's not about that. Nobody's seeing your posts and you're not building relationships. You're not a bad coach. You suck at building relationships. That we can fix, right? And you start from scratch. So my point here is the reason that I was able to do that is because I never took my eye off the most important thing, which is bringing people in and helping them transform their life. My goal as a coach from day one to day now has always been to get that transformation photo, because that is what leads to every other success in our business, okay? If you can get a customer in the door and you can get them into a program where they're doing diet and exercise consecutively, okay? Most people can do like one or the other. They're like either really good with their exercise, but they suck at their diet, or vice versa, right? Your goal is to get them to a place where they're doing both at the same time. And if you've done that, you've done your job, okay? And that's when you can be like, have you ever thought about coaching? They have to be there, okay? So your goal with your customers, if you're wanting to advance in rank and you're wanting to build your paycheck and you're wanting to grow your team, is to focus on recruiting, getting people in the door so that you have people to even invite that are actually going to work and actually going to build this with you. Because just like me, I didn't want to do it by myself. Too much pressure. I don't want to do that. Okay. The opportunity is in you and your team of coaches. So your income is going to build, sure, through commission, right, in the beginning. But if you can get yourself to the place of most potential where you're earning the most amount of cycles, who cares about the glitz and the glam? That's awesome. We're all going to throw a giant freaking party when you guys go diamond anyway, because that's amazing, right? That's going to happen. But for you, it means something else. And I want you guys to stay focused on that, which is diamond is a necessary step in order for you to achieve your dream. And this is something that I've realized that I share with my team, and I'm going to share with you, because once you guys reach financial freedom, and once you reach a place where you're no longer working to free your time, what are you working for? Right? Then what? If you don't have an answer for that, when you succeed with coaching, because you will achieve those two things, freedom of time, freedom of finance, okay? That's when you really have to dig deep and say, do I want to continue helping people? Is that why I'm really here? Okay. And then all of a sudden you're working for what you want, and because you want to, and you're working for something that speaks to your heart instead of something that you've been trying and socially taught to do your whole life, which is work for an income and work for freedom of time. Okay. If you have those two things, everything changes. So long-term perspective, that's what you're working towards, right? Getting to the place where you just get to work because you want to, and doing the things that you want to do on a daily basis. For me, I could have thrown in the towel and been like, I paid off our student loans. We're making 6 figures a year. I could just rest. I don't have to keep pushing for rank. I don't have to keep hitting Success Club. My team's running. Things are going. Smooth sailing, right? That didn't feel fulfilling to me. Okay, the income and the freedom of time didn't bring the satisfaction and the feeling of success that I thought it would. And you know why? Because my goal and my ultimate dream wasn't revolved around those things. It was revolving around me helping other coaches achieve that same kind of success. So that's where my focus lies now. So I'm really good at giving long-term and broad perspective, but I'm telling you guys right now, the only way to get the things that you want is in the small, mundane, unsexy tasks that we do every single day. And that's the 3 vital behaviors. If you ever are like, what should I be doing? I don't understand how to get there. That's our goal. That's our tracker. That's our key. That is our way to success with coaching. Invite, invite, invite. Okay. And I'm just going to share these 3 things with you because this helped me change to the way that I taught my team how to recruit. There's 3 different ways that you guys can recruit to your team, okay? And I'm talking about recruiting so much because this is how you build a business. This is how you create a career. And this is how you advance. And this is how you progress, okay? You can invite them to your life, okay? So like when you're at a restaurant and you have a waiter and you order a salad and they're like, oh my gosh, you're eating a salad, you're super in shape. And you can be like, I actually work out for a living, right? And then you can say, are you on Facebook? And they can say, yeah, I'm on Facebook, and say, oh, you should find me. That's inviting them to your life, okay? There's no other expectation or anything behind that. Just invite them to your life. Let them see what you're doing, right? Because then when you post publicly your invites for challenges and your invites for all these other things, then they're going to see it and they're going to choose to get involved. So invite them to your life, okay? Or you can invite them to a challenge, or you can invite them to the coaching opportunity. I want you guys to think about that when you're looking at these people, you're talking to them online. What am I going to invite them to? My life, my challenge, or to this coaching opportunity? Okay? Keep it super simple. The 3 vital behaviors, those are on your to-do list every day, no matter what. Okay? Anything extra you do, and this is why I say, coaching can be built at any capacity in any amount of time, as long as these 3 things are covered every single day. You have to recruit, you have to do your own workouts, okay, and share about it. And you have to do personal development, those 3 things. So I hope that helps a little bit. I don't know what else you want me to touch on as far as my own personal story, Lou. If there's something specific that you want me to share, then I will.
Well, how about you talk a little bit about your experiences with Summit and the value that going to Summit had in terms of how it affected your career?
So Summit, there's nothing like Summit. And the reason is because when you're there, it's about you. It's not about anybody else, but you get to see what our company is actually about. Like if you're really in this to help people, there's not a more life-changing sort of experience than going to Summit, because you get it. All it is stories. It's just hearing like amazing, incredible stories that really touch your heart, and you learn the tools that the top coaches are using. And I'm telling you guys, when you hear the top coaches tell you, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, it's not that they're doing a lot of things differently as far as the tasks. They're doing the 3 vital behaviors, but the way that they're doing it is what I want you to pay attention. Their execution is what's important, okay? And the one thing that I've noticed is people that can create energy over a long period of time and keep that energy going to build momentum, right? Where you don't burn out and you don't lose balance and you stay driven to keep recruiting. That's really what it takes, is to be able to mechanically make those things part of your life, the 3 vital behaviors, to where you're just doing it every single day, no matter what's going on in your life. You just do them because they're part of your life, right? And if you do them consistently enough, that's what happens. They just become part of your life. And that's what you learn at Summit. You learn those behaviors and you see that, it's so much bigger than what you think it is right now. You're sitting behind your computers and like you're super tunnel visioned. All you see is like what you do every day, right? But when you go to Summit, all of a sudden, like everything changes and what you're doing means something. It brings purpose to your action, and that you can't get that anywhere else.
Jace, that's incredible. I want to ask you another question. What has been your experience with Making Success Club every month? Is it something you have found that you were able to be consistent with early on in the month? Have you ever, in your experience, had a month where maybe you were getting close to the very end and you weren't at that point?
Yeah.
I was wondering if you have any tips or secrets to share with
the way that I hit Success Club every month, and I've hit it for almost 36 months now, In December, I'll hit 36 months in Success Club. It's all about the pipeline. What you do this month will help you hit Success Club next month. So if you guys don't show up in October, don't expect to hit it in November. It's a pipeline thing, like our paychecks. You're back paid a week, right? So with Success Club, I keep a list of all the people that I talk to in my iPhone on a note every single month. So in November, if I am like on November 28th, and I'm like, I still need 2 more challenge packs, I go back through my October list, figure out who didn't commit, and I go back and follow up with them and say, hey, I know you didn't, last month wasn't quite ready, but I know you were interested. Are you interested this month? And I've always got a pipeline of people to go back to and follow up with. So number 1, you always have to have a challenge going to invite people to. If you don't have that, don't expect to hit it. Number 2, you have to be networking every single day. And I think networking and recruiting are 2 different things. And we can have a call on that if you want. And I teach them as different things because people are talking to the same people every single day. You're like posting and you're inviting the same exact audience every day. So if you're not adding people to your audience that are new, right, then you're just going to be inviting the same people. So you need to be out there networking and finding new friends and finding new followers, right, to see what you have going on. So that's super important that you need to do every single day. And then making sure that you have a list of people to follow up with. If you can do those 3 things and really take the next 90 days to put that kind of system in place, always having a next challenge, right? And starting to advertise it midway through the month. So like for my November challenge, I'm starting to advertise it for right now, right? The 2nd and 3rd week of every month, I advertise for my next challenge so that I have enough time to hit Success Club. So I hit Success Club in October based on my November challenge. I hit Success Club in November based on my December challenge. Does that make sense? So I'm not trying to like live right in that month. I'm trying to set myself up for success every month. And that's key. That's how I do it.
That's fantastic. That is really solid advice. I know Matt has a question, and I'm going to just ask you one more question before I ask if anybody else has questions.
Okay.
I'm going to shift gears for a second. What has been your experiences with your husband in terms of your Beachbody business? Has your husband always been supportive in terms of what you do? Did he ever raise an eyebrow at any point? What was your experience with that, and how did you get him to sign on board with supporting you with what you now do?
So Mike loves me, and he would never do anything to deter me because he knows that would never work. But let me tell you, when I hit 2-star, I opened up my little certificate and my little badge, and I just started crying because I didn't have anybody to share it with. I had completely emotionally disconnected Mike from my business because he didn't get it. Okay. And a lot of that was my fault because we weren't communicating about it, but it almost got to the point where like I just protected it and I kept it for me because, you know, he would make sarcastic comments or like just really not unsupportive, just very kind of ignorant or not really understanding or just, I don't know, little comments that really hurt because we put everything in, right? It's everything for us. And so when people don't get that and they don't appreciate it the way that we do, we tend to kind of keep it for ourselves. So for the first couple of years, it was really tough, really, really tough. And I thought that, you know, if I could reach a certain level of income, like maybe he'll get it, right? And then he'll kind of get on board because guys kind of work that way. Like if you start seeing some income and you start seeing some of the, you know, reward, then it's like, okay, well, I guess it's kind of legitimate. I don't really get it. The one thing that I did have in my favor with Mike is that he is extremely focused on health and fitness, and we share that passion. So regardless of anything else, I started to just tell him things that I thought he cared about to try and kind of mend the situation and help him believe in it more. I didn't try and force it on him. I didn't try and like make him be supportive. I just tried to involve him more in things that I thought he would care about. So I shared success stories. I shared before and after pictures because I knew he would appreciate that. I shared when I made a good increase on our paycheck. I shared when I had little victories, okay? And I kind of emotionally detached from his response so that I wouldn't react emotionally, okay? About 2.5 years in, when I moved to Nashville, it was almost to the point where, that quote where it's like, you work so hard and you get to the place where they can't ignore it anymore, right? Like you're just there. Like they can't deny the success. They can't deny that it's not working. They can't deny it. If you work hard enough and you get to that place, they can't deny it anymore, right? And all of a sudden, Mike started changing and he started seeing, oh my gosh, this is an amazing opportunity. And now he's quitting his corporate job to coach full time.
Wow.
We're opening a gym. We're going to run it together and it's going to be our life. Okay. So I can tell you, going from somebody who has a husband that loves them and would never deter them, but didn't really get it, to somebody that was 100% in, both feet. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm here to support you, grow your business, put in processes, take my corporate experience and build a team together. It can happen. He's going to share his story in Super Saturday in January. And it's that one thing alone has been a huge dream come true for me. Because I always wanted that. We always want that. So
that's incredible. That is really good news. I'm happy to hear about that with the gym and everything. I am going to unmute Matt because I know Matt has a question. Okay, Matt, you are on the air. Can you hear, Matt, can you speak?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Would you like to ask Jace a question?
Hey, Jace, how are you? First of all, good. Okay, so I have two questions. My first question is, when it comes to inviting, what do you find yourself doing as far as what platforms do you use, and how do you do that process?
So my platform is Instagram. I'm like the queen of Instagram. I love it. Facebook, I'm not so good at, but I will tell you, I'll give you some tips for recruiting. So on Facebook, when my coaches say, I'm not good at this, nobody's responding to my invites, like I'm not getting anywhere, I'm going to quit. I'll say, first of all, you don't suck. You just suck at building relationships, and I'm going to fix that. So let me tell you how Facebook works. If you guys are using Facebook as your main platform, the way that Facebook works is the people that you associate with and you interact with are the ones that see your posts. So if you've got like 5,000 friends or 1,000 friends or 100 friends, it doesn't really matter. If you haven't talked to them in likes, comments, personal one-on-ones, gone to their page in 6 months, they're not going to see anything that you post. Okay? So regardless of what you're posting, they're probably just not seeing it. So the real key with Facebook is to be social, okay? And to go through your news feed. And this is where the networking comes in. And you just, I don't want you to get lost in your news feed because then you're going to waste a lot of time. But if there's people that you want to try and recruit to your team that you can identify in your friends list, that you're really trying to make sure they're seeing your invites, then I would go to their page once a week and just like a photo of theirs or something. Make sure that there's a current interaction so that they see that stuff, okay? I call public inviting passive inviting. I built my entire 6-figure business on passively inviting. I focused on recruiting. I focused on like one-on-one interaction and building a connection with someone. And by that, I mean not just inviting. For me isn't just, hey, do you want to join the challenge group? Inviting to me is saying, hey, I noticed you had a baby. I know they had surgery, so did mine. I'm praying for you. Connection. Okay? If you're missing that part of it, you're going to struggle with recruiting. Okay? You got to build the relationship. So on Facebook, be social so that when you post your invites, your big, hey, this is my challenge going on, that people are seeing it in your newsfeed, first of all. And really spending time building the relationships there, I think, is really important. I don't know if that helps, but also going to, I know a lot of coaches get lost and say Facebook's super saturated with coaches and every person that I meet is a coach. And that's because your whole network is coaches. You're finding people through Beachbody related avenues, right? If you want an authentic audience, then you need to look at yourself and say, what do I like? What do I want to do? And then you find an interest group on Facebook based around that. For me, I love the show Friends. Okay, so I looked up Friends, and there was an interest group for people that liked watching that show.
It must be stopped.
Awesome, because they would post quotes from it and video clips from it and pictures from it. And I was like, this is amazing. But I started interacting with the people on there that had nothing to do with fitness, right? And I would just add them as friends, or they would add me as friends, and we would laugh and like share little friends quotes with each other one-on-one, right? And then the relationship would start building, and I would start building an authentic audience of people that liked the same stuff I did. So if you like running or biking, or you're a parent of special needs, or just think about things that are outside of Beachbody that you enjoy and like, and search on Facebook if there's an interest group for it. If there's not, start one, right?
Gotcha.
Hopefully that helps.
Yes. Okay, so that does actually lead to a follow-up question, which is, what does the average invite conversation look like for you, as far as what kind of things do you say? How do you does that make sense?
Yeah. So for me, it's the same as when I first started. I would say that I recruited relentlessly, and I really don't like that word. I like the word sharing or inviting more. I think they're all stupid words, but that's just what we say. Anyway, I did that pretty relentlessly for the first 7 days as a coach. And I burned a lot of bridges. Said a lot of stupid stuff. I like word vomited it on people. People don't like you if you throw up on them. So one thing that I will say is just to slow down and really try and focus and make it about them when you're talking to them. But once I really recruited somebody successfully, the first time I looked at that and I was like, wow, that was like really smooth. That process went really well. It felt really authentic. It felt really good. And I just kind of used that approach again and again and again. And it's still the same one that I do today. So if somebody reaches out to me, then I say the same thing every time. Yes, I would love to help you. Tell me what your goals are. Tell me your story. Catch me up. That's all you got to say. They'll freaking write you a novel. And you got all the information right there. Tell me your story. Catch me up. That is like one of the best catchphrases that I've used, because it opens the door and it allows people to just tell you where they've been and where they want to go. So at that point, I respond and I edify what they say, and I take what they said and I figure out what program would work well for them. And this is a really key thing, you guys. Again, my goal, right, is to get people doing exercise and diet consecutively. What that means to me is a challenge pack. That's diet, that's exercise consecutively, period. Okay. I would say 99% of my customers coming in buy a challenge pack because of that. And the reason is because I figure out their story. I figure out what's important to them. I figure out where they want to go. And then I give them the right tool. And I say, this is where, you know, you said you like weightlifting, this, you want to lose 10 pounds, whatever. And I reiterate what they just told me. And I say, this is the program I think that you would like because of this and this and this. It comes with the 30-day supply of Shakeology, which is, and then I give like a 2-sentence description of Shakeology. Mine's super simple. It's a meal replacement. I recommend using it for whatever meal is the least convenient for you in the day to make your life easier. It'll boost your energy, your metabolism. It'll kick your sugar cravings. It'll expedite your fat loss. It'll make this process a lot easier. Here's the link for the program. Let me know what you think. Okay? Most people try and like upsell Shakeology. It's much easier to downsell than to upsell. Okay? So just put it out there. Just say, this is what it is. Don't give the option unless they ask, because you're a coach who wants to get them working on both, because that gets them both the best results, right? And then usually at that point, they'll come back to me and they'll say, I bought it or whatever, and then I'll add them to my challenge group. So I know you guys are going to say, well, what if they come back and say it's too expensive, right? And I figure out if it's really a cost issue or if the value of the product and the value of what they're trying to commit to isn't there yet. And I build that more if I need to until they're ready and feel the value and the worth and they buy it. Or I'll say, because here's the bottom line too. It's not up to us to feel pressure or worry about their finances, period. It's not your job. You can't assume. You don't know. Regardless of what they're telling you, I would tell somebody I couldn't afford it if I didn't want to buy it, even though I could, right? If they're going to buy it, they're going to buy it. If they're not and they have no dollars, like I did, they're either going to find a way and buy it on a credit card like I did, or they're just not going to buy it. So at that point, you can downgrade, okay? Don't just not help them. And if they really can't buy anything, this is the most important thing that you can do as a coach. Help them freaking anyway. Here's the 3-day quick fix. Here's a free clean eating challenge. Let's start with this. I'll put you in my group. Here's our plan. You and I are going to work on this one-on-one. Let's see if you can get through it. Because I promise you guys, if you can give them anything that gets them results, they will buy stuff again and again and again just because it's you and they want to support you because you helped them. Okay? So that's really important. Does that help?
Yes.
Matt, do you have any other questions or?
I guess I'm kind of curious as to see like what an average conversation looks like as far as, from the beginning to the end. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying that you have to like give it to me now, but maybe.
Do you mean like if somebody reaches out to me or if I'm reaching out to somebody else?
You reaching out to somebody else. What kind of, things
So I don't do that.
Oh.
This is really important. I want you guys to build a situation where people are coming to you, right? So in the beginning, you're going out there and you're like putting in the grunt work and you're going to them and finding those people and gaining practice and learning your approach and learning your niche and really perfecting your own language as a coach and what works for you. But eventually, the goal is to get them coming to you. Okay.
Right.
So this is a common mistake that a lot of coaches make, which is how do I turn a conversation that isn't about fitness into fitness? You don't. Okay. If you try and force that, I'll give you an example. If you have, and this is a good example because so coaches will go like through their friends list and be like, oh my gosh, this person was super fit in high school. I'm going to reach out to him. Right. And they're like thinking in the back of their mind, they would be an amazing coach or they would be a really good challenger instead of thinking, how can I rekindle my connection and relationship with this person? Okay. Gotcha. So what I want you to do so that you're not icky is to go to their page and say, hey, I noticed this and this and this on your profile. Like if they just went on vacation or if something catches your eye, you have the freedom to message them because they're your friend on Facebook. So message them and say, hey, I noticed you just went to Tahiti. That's so cool. I know we haven't talked in like forever. How was your trip? I've always wanted to go there. Okay. Reconnect, rekindle, refine that. If you guys go through the whole conversation, you rekindle sort of the relationship, right? And you start talking and conversing again. But then at the end of it, you're like, by the way, I have this super awesome fitness challenge. Gross. They're immediately going to think that all of that conversation you just had with them was just to invite them to what you have going on. Okay. That's not effective. It doesn't work and it's gross. Don't be icky. Okay. However, if you are having the conversation with them and they say, oh my gosh, I noticed that you're doing all this fitness stuff. I've never reached out or whatever. And people do this. They notice what you're doing, right? If they give you an open door, then you can talk about it all you want, but not until they give you the open door, which is, I noticed you're doing all this fitness stuff, or I noticed you work for Beachbody, or I noticed you did P90X, or you're super in shape. I got so out of shape after high school. Any comment, okay, that has to do with fitness, it opens the door and you can say whatever you want from that point on and start to recruit them and figure out if they need help and say, yes, I'm here for you. I can help you. And you can invite them till you're blue in the face. But if you try and do it without the invite, it's not going to work. So your goal when you're reaching out to people, you guys, is just to connect with them, to invite them to your life at that point until the door opens where you can invite them to your challenge or invite them to coach. Does that make sense?
That's incredible. Jace, I just want to say something. And this kind of segues a little bit from what you said earlier about having people reach out to you instead of necessarily always reaching out to other people.
Yes.
One of the things I admire about you, and maybe you could talk about this for a minute, one of the things that you do that's remarkable is you share your personal world with people. I've seen you post about your situations concerning personal debt. I've seen you post in the early days about your experiences in the hair salon. I've seen you post pictures of you putting things in boxes to get ready for a big move. I've seen you post about your children. I've seen you post about your life, and you've done a great job, I think, of demonstrating, especially to the coaches in this group, that being a Team Beachbody coach isn't just about posting about fitness and health and nutrition. I think you do a great job of showing people the side of you that's human, that lets them say, you know, I want to relate to Jace, or I feel a connection to Jace. So what are your thoughts on the value of letting your own personal experiences kind of emulate through what you post, especially on Facebook? I mean, what's your take on that?
So I follow an 80-20 rule. So 20% of what I post is directly associated with Beachbody stuff. The rest is me. I'm branding myself. Okay. All I'm doing, you guys think about it this way. All we're doing is living fit out loud. That's it. Okay. So whatever capacity that means. So like, just to give you guys an example of this year, in January, my brother-in-law committed suicide. 2 months later, I had a 6-week premature baby who had a condition where his muscle from his stomach to his intestines was closed off, and he almost starved to death. Okay, he had to have emergency surgery. Then we sold a house in Tennessee, and then we bought a house here. Mike changed jobs. Okay, when people tell me that they can't coach during all the things that happen in their life, they're missing a giant opportunity to reach out and connect with the people that are going through the same things. Okay, just talk about how you're staying sane through all of it, because health and fitness is my anchor. It's my core. It's how I personally stay strong enough to deal with life. Coaching isn't the hard part. Life is the hard part. Okay, so when you guys are talking about, when you follow the 80-20 rule, okay, your 20% is your call to actions. This is why fitness and health have changed my life. This is my goal to help other people. This is why. Okay, that's your 20%. Always having a call to action and a question at the end, opening the door, having an invite, no matter what, so that when people get ready, they know where to turn. That's your goal with your public inviting, that 20% of, hey, I'm a coach. This is what I do. I can help you. The 80% that you post about your life, what you're going through, is showing people that despite what's happening, you're still staying consistent, connected with your health and fitness. It's the anchor of your life. You're showing them what a fit and healthy lifestyle is all about, okay? It's doing fun things with your kids because you're able to, right? It's eating out at restaurants and having a cheat meal because 90% of the time you're eating healthy. It's being real and showing people, because you guys know, like, it's not realistic to eat 100% clean all the time, and it's not necessary either. So if you're showing and giving that perception that that's what it takes in order to get results, you're not going to relate to a lot of people. But if they can see your rockin' body and they see that you eat brownies on Sunday night, guess what? They'll eat 80% clean and they'll have a brownie every now and then, but then they'll get right back to work. They'll do what you do. They'll see what you're showing them. So show them what your life is about. Let them connect with you as much as you're trying to connect with them. And that's really the main thing, is just staying current and real with what's going on in your own personal life. And regardless of what's happening, you're still focused and committed to your sole purpose.
That is amazing, Jace. You are absolutely incredible. We're creeping up 7 minutes short of 10 o'clock. I think do we have enough room for a couple more questions? Because I know Paul has a question. Paul, I've unmuted you. Would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, I hope this makes sense. Jace, thank you for all your time, and I've really learned a lot. And
Good.
I think a lot of what some coaches go through, basically me, is overcoming ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, I don't post anything on my Facebook personal wall, because until people start seeing a difference in me, what am I trying to, my feeling is, what am I trying to do here?
Right.
You know, so I'm really going at this from a roundabout way right now. And once people tell me, yeah, okay, then maybe I'll start posting more on my wall, because then I'll feel people see a difference in me. That's the only way this is going to work.
But that's not doing anybody any favors, right? Because you're going to relate to people that are going through what you're going through. If you beat around the bush, you're going to find people who always beat around the bush.
I am finding that. But like,
right?
I just feel like I'm fighting my own battle.
So was I.
And if
every day.
And I think that's just my thing. But the real question I have is, like, I've built relationships better than I've ever built them before. I was Emerald. I lost Emerald. I don't care that I lost Emerald, because I wasn't doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to get Emerald, I want to keep Emerald and keep going. So I have a few people that I'm building a relationship with who have asked me about coaching. And the first thing they ask me is, how do I save money by being a coach?
Okay.
And I'm having trouble answering that.
So with my team, I teach a preferred customer method. So I would first ask them if they want to do it for the discount or if they want to actively coach people and help people. And whatever they say, then you can kind of play off that. Are these people that want to actually do the business, or are they just wanting to save money?
Both have said, well, we want to see we'd like to coach for the discount and see what it's about.
Okay. So I would say then I would join as a coach as a preferred customer. That's how I say it. And this is a really good tactic to use, because it kind of takes the pressure off, because people think like, if I create a coach account, then I'm a coach, and that's like freaks people out. So if you say preferred customer, it's a little different. You can say, well, you can just create your coach account and become a preferred customer, which is basically coaching just for the discount, right? And we can add you to the team page and whatever, so you can kind of see what we do and kind of decide for yourself, right? But I will tell you that the most powerful you're ever going to be is when you're going through it yourself. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Lou remembers this, but I literally used coaching as my avenue to change who I was as a person.
I remember everything.
Socially, like I literally every day I would be like, I am fighting today. Like I am really like struggling ground floor, like not in it today. And this is what I'm dealing with. And I will tell you, like, the outpouring and support and love that people give you is going to fuel you forward and power you through. So that journey that you're going through and those struggles that you're going through is exactly the piece of this business that you're missing out on. You're missing opportunity by not sharing that side and saying, because here's the other thing. People get really inhibited about who's seeing it, right? They don't create a whole separate profile and don't let any of those people in. You have to create a space where you're 100% uninhibited. I started my Facebook page with 0 friends. I didn't invite any of my friends and family at all. No warm market for a year and a half. I was a diamond coach. Actually, I was a 2-star diamond coach before I even started into my warm market. And the reason for that is because I was so affected by everybody else. And I had to get to a place where I could tunnel vision on me to change my life, right? So I had to create my own Facebook page with none of my friends and family on it. My husband wasn't even on it, okay? Literally that ground zero. I just had to be able to be 100% Jace. And I was able to make Facebook that platform because I didn't allow any of those people to judge me. I didn't allow any of those thoughts to even occur anymore. I set myself up for success instead of failure. So if you're having those struggles, I would recommend creating a space where none of that exists. You don't allow anyone in unless you know they're on your team 100%. Because if you can show really that 80% of you and what you're going through and your struggles, but you're here anyway and you're doing it anyway and you're changing anyway, that's really the success story, right? It's not your financial position. It's not your rank. It's not how many coaches you add or customers add. It's you overcoming you. And that's it. Because that's what everyone's trying to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's, like I said, the biggest problem is tripping over myself.
Yeah. And you're going to, and that, I mean, that's something you deal with even as a 15-star diamond coach, you always are going to second guess and doubt yourself. You just get really good at getting over it real fast and checking yourself and staying focused, right? So with your coaches that are asking about becoming coaches, I would use the preferred customer talk. It's just really simple. It's a really simple way to explain it. And then really making sure that they're exposed to things with coaching that are going to speak to them. So like if you know of a coach's story that would really like hit a nerve with them, then send it to them. Or, you know, tag them in stuff that you think that they would respond to. You know, hey, thinking about you, this made me think of you. Just little things like that go such a long way to build your relationship and connection with people. And it helps them want to get involved.
Okay, cool.
You know?
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay, let's have a show of hands if anybody has any other questions for Jace. We are at the 10 o'clock mark. Any other questions? So, okay, well, Jace, I cannot thank you enough for coming on our call.
Sure.
This has been one of the best calls for our team. You are certainly an incredible person, and I think you have blown the lid off the level of inspiration and motivation that you provided to everyone on this call tonight. You have been so helpful, and I don't think everyone is aware that you actually were one of the coaches who spearheaded the idea of having the coach training boot camps, the prospecting boot camps, excuse me. You also spearheaded the clean eating group idea. You are certainly a visionary, and I just, you know, keep being you. I really hope that you continue to succeed with this. I want to wish you and your husband and your two boys the best for your new business ideas. And again, thank you so much for coming on the call. We are all extremely grateful. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or any closing piece of advice or something you'd like to add? Or
I think just keep doing what you're doing. And I think we're all struggling with the same stuff. And, you know, just like me and Lou, we've been doing this for a long time, but we're doing the same exact things that you guys are doing, right? The tasks are the same. It's just the duration is longer. And I do have a team website page of all the webinars and trainings that I've done for my coaches. And I'm happy to open that up to you guys if you want to go through them and your spare time. There's a lot on recruiting and just getting in the right mindset. And, you know, those are things that I'm always happy to share within, you know, the network and people that I love when I love Lou. So I would do anything for you. I hope you know that.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Jace, you sent me something when you had just become an Emerald coach. Jace, you know, I have these wristbands that I send to all our new coaches and also to my resistance member. But even that, Jace, was something you kind of came up with. You sent me this Team Motivate wristband, technology wristband. I wish I was wearing it for tonight's call, but I still have them, and I can't thank you enough. So, without any other comments, we're gonna close this call. Thank you so very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to give the recording to you as soon as I can get that link up and running.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you very much for coming on this call. I hope everybody took notes, and I hope that this was a real game changer for all of you. So everybody, have a great night, okay?